All right, good morning. I'm just going to hold off for a few moments, just let a few more people join. For you that have already jumped in, thank you for being so timely. My name is Jon. I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon Cosmetic. And today we're going to be going through an online look and learn of one of our hero looks from the Tech Romance part of Generating Uniqueness, our new collection. I'm so excited to show you this shape. It's dead easy, really beautiful, and more importantly, something that is really usable in the salon. I can see we've got some of the guys here who are joining us from Taiwan. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. It's really a pleasure to have you with us, especially as it's your evening, which is great. So thank you. We're going to have the amazing Zoe. She's going to be moderating the comments. So if you have any questions, do feel free to jump in, ask us anything you like. Zoe is a super talented colorist. She worked on the color segment of this collection. I supported her with that. She's really got a fantastic eye for detail with the colour work. So if you have any questions about the formula, she'll add that into the comments for you. And as I'm working, I will try and answer the questions as best as I can. So give me one moment. I'm just going to let a few more people jump in before we kick off. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about the whole concept around tech romance. It's very fitting with what's happening at the moment across the world. All of us are experiencing some form of lockdown. Maybe some of us are returning back to the salons. So, we've gone through a period of time which is maybe it could be seen a little bit negative, there's an element of uncertainty. So people are really looking for a form of escapism. And hair is an amazing canvas to work on. You can really do so much with it. And that's where the collection is fantastic. We launched Tech Romance in January, and this is a segment of spring going on into the summer. And in the coming month, you're going to see something really exciting, which is the evolution from where we've worked within Tech Romance. Now, the whole idea around this part of the collection was playing with colours that work in opposites as something that is a little bit futuristic but still has that beautiful iridescence and something that is evocative of something that's really romantic. Here we're talking about forms and colour. So we've got shapes that are quite transient. We have colours which are quite transient. The colour work has been done with a fantastic product, Eyelight. It really is fantastic. There are really zero limits to your creativity. You can really play with the pre-mixed shades, and we've also got filters that can be added to those shades to really open up your armory of different shades to really play on the needs of the clients. Anyway, let's talk more about the haircut. I'm going to let Zoe answer your questions about the colour. So, the haircut, we're actually going to be working with one of the hero looks from the collection. This is called Stellar Pastel, and it's a fantastic play on form and colour. We're working with quite a strong geometric structure with a bit of a transient polish on it. There's a really gorgeous bevel through the top here. Fingers crossed I can do this today. But really the focus is going to be on the shape. I love the fact that you've got this squareness through the edges with this little bit of roundness through the top. What I want to do today is follow it as closely as possible, but we're going to adapt it a little bit more because what we need to consider is we're working on a mannequin. And, as we know, mannequins don't always play ball. They're not always our best friend when we're working. So I need to adapt the shape a little bit more because if I go too heavy-handed with this, not only could we lose the shape and the form, but we might even disrupt the colour a little bit too much. So let's go on to the sectioning pattern. What we've done is we've worked with like a keyhole shape. So we've worked with a circular section that runs through the crown and then into a stem into the front here. What we're going to do is we're going to work with a slight undercut through the underneath, nothing too aggressive. The idea here is to just remove some of this corner so the shape just hugs the head a little bit more, but not so much so that, we end up losing all of that weight from the perimeter of the shape. Now the front is a little bit on the weak side at the moment, so what we're going to do is over direct that back, so we try and keep as much weight in this front area as possible. I may need to adapt the haircut a little bit more, but we'll work on that once it's dried, depending on what's happening through this zone here. So let's get started. And I'm just looking at the comments. We've got Zoran, Daniel, we've got the lovely Kay, is a fantastic stylist. I worked with Kay for a number of years up in Scotland. You should check her out, she's absolutely incredible. All right, so let's get started. So in terms of the shape, I've already, of course, pre-sectioned. I just very crudely cut an outline on this shape. Really just so I don't go too crazy, at least I've got some form of kind of optical line to work with. In terms of the prep, what we've done is the mannequin was already pre-lightened, so there was no bleaching involved. But what we've done is we did a colour toning service on this using the eye light, so just really filling the hair in, going for something that's really opaque. And then we've just washed it with the Sublinia line. And we're now using the Sublinia DD Cream, which is a leave-in conditioner. It's a fantastic product because you've really got 10 different elements inside of one product line. So it's super easy to use, super accessible, and the results are fantastic. So I'm just going to start working through this underneath area. What I want to do here is just clip some of this away, just to give me a little bit of control. Also, just to make it a little bit clearer for you guys when we're working through. So we're just going to take a vertical section, just comb everything out the way. We're going to bring that through. I'm standing from the side just to give me as much control as possible. We're going to bring that up. I'm going to let some of the perimeter drop away so we don't go too short. And we're just going to remove that corner. We're just going to assess the shape before we move on, so just comb that down. What I'm expecting to see is just a slight bevel, but nothing too crazy. I don't want the weight to be popping out, and I certainly don't want it to be popping out through the top here. Okay, let's now move on to the next section. I'm quite happy with how that length's looking. I'm taking the section slightly diagonal forward. The main reason for that is just to help direct the weight onto the face. It's always a little bit scary, when you're doing something like this. This is actually my first ever Facebook Live. So wish me luck. This morning I was talking... It's perfect, the wonders of technology. I was talking with with one of the girls from the digital team this morning, and I was a bit like, oh, I'm so nervous, what if it goes wrong? But, I think the thing is, what we have to remember is that, we are a community. We're here to support each other. There's no judgment. We're all giving, and I think that's the magic of our industry. That's the fun of what we do. So I think it's great. I mean, I won't lie, I've had to lock the dog in the back garden so he doesn't bark. I've had to switch everything off, apart from my Apple Watch, to try and avoid any disruption. Okay, so I'm just over-directing that back through now. Notice how I'm also retaining this angle. I'm still keeping the angle, controlling through my fingers into the elbow. I'm just dropping that down. Thank you, Kay. Same back to you. Just dropping that down. Now, of course, if you're a little bit nervous, because of course sometimes people can get a bit nervous when they're seeing all this hair coming off, work with a pointing technique. So work with the edges of the blades, rather than cutting it so blunt like I'm doing here. So if you want the shape to be a little bit more transient, just go through. I'm just going to show you. Bring that up. Remember, don't panic. If the bottom is dropping away, it's cool. It's supposed to drop away. Don't try and cut hair that doesn't need to be cut. Okay, so if we want this to be more transient, just go in and just point the edges out. For me, I want to keep it a little bit stronger. And it's, to be honest with you, it's not because of aesthetic value. It's actually because I want to try and keep some of the weight on the interior part of the shape. So for me, it's very important. If I go in, I chip this out too much, I remove too much of the weight from the structure, there isn't going to be a shape to work with. So it really means that I need to work even harder with styling and with products to really get this to sit into a shape. And I love the art of blow drying and the art of styling, but without a shape, without the foundations of the house being in place, you're putting makeup on a building, you're painting a building before there's even a foundation in place. So everything starts with a really great structure, a great haircut, beautiful colour, and then the styling all comes together. It brings everything together, that everything works hand in hand. Thank you, Carlos. All right, so we can see already we've got a nice bit of flatness through here. Nothing too crazy, but I'm really happy with how this is looking. The shape's just tucking in. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can see we've got a little bit more flatness through here now. We don't want this to bevel out and look like a traditional bob shape. The front, I'm going to leave this for now because, as I said earlier, this is the weakest part of the structure, really just because it's a mannequin. So let's leave this until the end and see where we want to go with it. Now I'm going to spin her around, and we're going to do exactly the same process on the other side. Starting back through the center. Now, just to give me more control, you don't have to do this, depends on how disciplined you are. I actually really like, and I found this helped me a lot when I was training as a stylist. I used to find sometimes when I would take my subsections, what would sometimes happen is, I'm taking bits from here, I'm really losing the control when I'm working. So actually something that I picked up very early on is just clip away your subsections. Make your life easy. Don't make your life unnecessarily more difficult. Keep it easy. See? Clip it away, I've cut it, forget about it. I don't need to think about it anymore. When I cross-check it, that's when I'll do my magic with it. Let's do the same on the other side. Forget the front. I'm going to ignore that for now. Just going to twist it slightly just to give it a bit more control. Again, another little tip, but very helpful. Always go from the underneath, don't go from the top. Going from the underneath is going to give you more control. Sometimes what you might find is if you put your clip in top down, and it sounds so basic, but it could end up slipping out. Then you can very easily get lost within your structure. We've got the lovely Jay joining us from Scotland as well. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. All right, so let's see how we can do this so you guys can see. I'm going to just turn her a little bit more. I feel like I want to do a little competition for you guys. Should maybe send a prize to the person that picks the best name for her. I think that could be fun. What do you guys think? Let's see. Let's have a look. Let's have a look in the comments. If you've got an interesting name for my mannequin, put it into the comments. Maybe we can treat you with a cheeky little surprise. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Subdivide, move on. Same again, same principle. Nice and easy. I'm going to elevate that up. I'm just going to take off the corner. It's a little bit more difficult for me, this side. I'm a lefty, so it's very easy for me to lose my control when I'm working. So I have to just be a little bit more attentive when I'm working through here. I'm just going to bring that right back. Let's just ignore the front. Bring that right back, up and over. Let's take off that corner. Now I am being cautious of the length, but I also don't want to go too, I'm not too concerned because even though we've taken out these corners through here, it's a bob shape. So we're going to take this up anyway. So I'm really not panicking too much about this at this moment. Great. Okay, so now let's move on to the sides. I'm going to keep this really easy. I'm going to work slightly different through here. Now, when we actually did it in the collection, we continued the same process, but the model had that bit more hair. With this, I'm going to work more visually. I'm going to take my section slightly diagonal back. So through the back area, we work diagonal forward, directing the weight onto the face. Now through the front, we're working diagonal back, directing that weight back off the face. We're creating a contradiction within the shape. Let's bring this up. I'm going to ignore this. Arc my fingers right over, and I'm just going to do a very, very soft slide cutting technique, working purely visually here. I'm just looking for an arc, and I'm not being brutal. Just drop that down. Let's have a little look, see how it's doing. Okay, we're cool. And I can see Siobhan has joined us from the UK. Siobhan's a fantastic hairdresser. I trained with her years and years ago. Super talented. I'm wondering maybe if Shiv can, if she can maybe write in the comments a little story about the graduated bob haircut I did when I was training. Really, Siobhan has the patience of a saint. It was a very interesting experience. It's always funny though, right? You know, when we're training, you know, we're always so scared of, you know, maybe making a mistake or, you know, really focusing on learning those rules. And then when we start getting more confident, more comfortable, we're really able to start exploiting and playing with them. Cool. All right, so we've got a nice little arc through here. You can see we're going to have to remove this corner, but we're cool. I'm going to take this up through this back area and just square it up a touch on the front here. We're now going to do exactly the same process on the other side, working with diagonal back sections. So we want to direct that weight back through. Now for me, again being a lefty, I want to be traveling from front into back. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn her a little more. Just make sure you guys can see. Working with exactly the same principle. Bring it up. And we're just going to slide cut that through. I'm not too concerned about this length through here, right? We're slide cutting, we're working from short. I'm going to change the angle so it's a bit easier to see. I'm just changing the angle and elevating it up. As long as I keep the arc, we're good. It's if we remove the arc, so if I cut this right off, then we have a problem because you'll have no hair left around the front. So I'm just going to be a little bit more aggressive now. So what I would say to you guys is if you're finding this quite interesting, every week we will be doing a live session alternating between myself and Zoe. Zoe is really our colour queen, so she's going to be doing a lot of the colour work. So the best place to catch it will be on our Elgon official page, which is our corporate page, but also our new initiative called Connect by Elgon. It's a YouTube channel where we upload lots of videos of tips and tricks, step-by-steps, and it's a really great place to stay up to date with what we're doing as a company. Alright, so I'm just dusting off that corner to see how it's doing. Okay, great. Yeah, this is actually very true. If you guys are reading the comments, this is a fantastic story. I think I was about 17 years old, and I don't really remember what happened, but I remember the sensation. It's always interesting how we always remember an emotion or a feeling. I ended up picking up these tongs and burning my hands. It was horrendous. Ciao, Claudio. Thank you for joining. Claudio's in here. He's one of our fantastic team members for the national education team. He works all over Italy. He's got a fabulous salon, and again, he's actually on the Connect by Elgon page. He's doing He's actually doing, he's done one of the techniques, so check him out, he's fantastic. Alright, so my mannequin's just drying up a little bit. I've worked through the interior shape, so we're now going to work through the perimeter shape. Just dampening this down with the DD cream. Because this hair is pretty treated, so we want to make sure it's got a lot of love. Now, for maximum discipline and maximum control, I quite like working side by side. So just working up in sections, it gives me much more control. Sometimes jumping from one side to the other, I really lose the discipline when I'm working. My body positioning changes, my hand positioning changes. So really, you know, staying as truly as disciplined as possible. So we're going to go through. I'm going to forget the right hand side for now. We'll come on to it later. So let's just click that away. I'm just going to tilt it just a touch. I'm just going to work through this underneath area. I'm not going to clip this. I feel like I've got enough control. I'm going to work inside of the fingers. I can clean up any undesired graduation later on. And I don't want to keep this too boxy. I want to keep this a little bit softer. So for this, I'm going to work with the points of the blades, one finger's depth to give me some control, and still keeping pretty square. You know, we want to keep a corner. I'm going to go through, bang. And the hardest thing is just to try not make this too regular. You know, we want it to be not too clean, you know, we want some softness through here. We're not going for a really strong classic box bob. We're going for something a little bit looser, something that's a little bit more transient. Okay, let's now move on to the next section. Still working with diagonal forward sections. Remember, you're still creating a shape that is a square on an object that is round. So if your sections follow the round of the head, your shape is going to be round. So always bear that in mind when you're working. And it's the same principle when you're working with square shapes. So we're going to go through. Cool, and I'm quite liking how this shape's sitting. Let's have a look at the layers. And I think we've got a nice balance between layer and length. If we came up too much shorter, then we've done the layering for absolutely nothing. All right, so let's now just work through the sides. I'm actually going to bring the head up for this, and let's just see what's going on here. All right, so you can see there's a little bit too much here. We've maybe left it a touch too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt her over, and we're going to work actually maybe slightly more rounded. Bring this straight down, still controlling with the angle of my fingers. We've got the lovely Laura joining us from the United States. She's our National Education Manager in New York City. Thank you, Laura, for joining us. This must be God knows what time. I think you must be in bed with a cup of cocoa or something right now. Okay, let's bring this down. There we go. Just going to work into this corner. Excellent. I'm just going to take this away through here. Great. Let's just bring this up. Let's have a look. What I'm expecting to see is just a beautiful drop in the angle through here, and I'm quite liking how the shape's looking. It's quite nice. It's a little bit of work that needs to be done through here, but we're good. I can work on this later. I'm just going to check it now and see if there's anything suspicious. Just remove that little bit there. All right. What do you guys think? Do we like it? I mean, there's something kind of interesting going on here, right? Great. Okay, so now let's move on to the other side. Same principle, absolutely the same principle. We're going to tilt the head forward. Working in Again, diagonal forward sections. Just for a little bit of added control and more for the demonstration, just clip that from the underneath. I'm going to go through, and I'm also just going to take a touch from the other side so that can support me. Beautiful. Let's take off this corner. I always think it's very interesting how as stylists our taste changes over time. You know, and I'm thinking this way of thought because of some of the guys that are joining here. So, you know, the guys back up in Scotland for sure will remember me for my blow dries of the 10 million brushes in the hair. They used to hate me. No one could ever find brushes in the salon because they would all be in the client's hair. You know, and my shapes, the way that I cut was always really, really graphic. That was always my sense of style, and it still is, you know. I love it very much. I think I really appreciate it. But also my own taste has changed a little, you know, and, you know, I really love beautiful, wearable hair, you know, and I think that is really important. You can make it as strong as you want, but it needs to really suit what is unique about the individual sitting in the chair. And talking of this, you know, this is really one of the key talking points, or one of the key mottos of our brand, is really celebrating uniqueness. And that's from the client in the chair through to stylists and the assistants in the salon. You know, is something that really should be celebrated. And I think that is really the magic of what we do in our profession. I'm immensely proud of our industry, and also looking at what our industry has done, giving back to the community through this entire, you know, this entire pandemic. It's really incredible what people are doing. A great example is our business partner in Indonesia, Daniel. He's doing fantastic work supporting vulnerable hairdressers who have got young families that are maybe struggling to, you know, to feed them, you know, where they've got babies, so, you know, baby milk and so on. And, you know, he's working with a whole team of educators distributing these products to support these vulnerable people. And I think it's really, it really touches my heart. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I think that's absolutely the beauty of our profession. It's the absolute beauty of our industry. Indeed, Kay, where are all of the brushes? They're actually in my trolley now. No one can steal them. I've got them all to myself. All right, so we're now going to start working into the sides. Same principle as before. I always think it's quite brave doing a bob shape for a live look and learn. There's always so much that can possibly go wrong. Positive thoughts. Positive thoughts. So again, same principle, just working through, controlling with my fingers. I have to be dead careful here because, again, I'm left-handed, so sometimes the tendency is on the left side. I have a tendency to direct the hair down to the floor too much. And then when I'm working on the right-hand side, you know, my fingers have a tendency to be pointing up to the ceiling. So sometimes what can happen is I lose my balance on this side, and there's probably even a chance with all of this talking that, you know, I might need to just go through and clean up this balance. Any of you that know me, you know, I always try when I'm cutting, you know, I don't like to talk too much because, you know, I'm a typical man. I can't multitask. It's dead important to, you know, really concentrate on the task at hand. And I think there's many guys in this group that will understand what I'm talking about. All right, so we're just working through. I have a feeling that this is going to be a little stronger, but we're cool. We can work on that later. I'm not too concerned. You know, the worst thing, and I think we'll all agree, the worst thing we could ever do when we're working on a mannequin is layer it too short or cut the shape. You know, cut the shape too short, because as we know, these these things, they tend to jump up quite a lot. And yeah, it's particularly work like scissor over comb. It can very easily go wrong. Okay, so I'm just checking the balance, and so far I think we're looking pretty good. It's always a really interesting thing when we're thinking about balance. I need to wet this side a bit more. It's always an interesting thing because, you know, like when we're training as apprentices or whatever, you know, we're always trained, you know, check and check and check and check and check, and of course checking technically, of course, is so important, but it's almost more important to check visually, because you could cut the most technically perfect haircut and it could be perfect. It could be cut with mechanical precision, and for me, this type of work I love. But the thing is maybe what could technically be perfect visually may not be perfect. You know, sometimes, you know, we have things like the protrusion of the ears. Maybe we've got, you know, more of a jump on one side. For example, with this mannequin, I don't know if you can see, but she already has more of a jump on this side. So if I cut this totally balanced, this side can end up looking a bit shorter. It is a touch too long on this side, but I would rather play on the air of caution. So let's have a little look. I think this is looking very nice. What do you guys think? Are you liking the shape so far? It's nice. What do you think? Great. Just another pointer as well, this shape. Very nice on thick hair. All you need to do is take it shorter through the underneath. That's going to help create flatness within the shape. But even on finer hair, it can work really well. If you're working on hair that's quite a lot finer, what I would propose is maybe go squarer through the underneath area. Because when you create something square on something that is round, you're going to build up corners on 4 points of the head. It's like a square. So what that will do is that will build out width within the shape. Now, layering alone isn't going to create volume. We know that graduation is one of the most powerful tools for creating organic lift within the structure. But working with something square, it is going to help just plump it. So when the client is styling their hair, they can create that a little bit more width through this area here. All right, so I'm liking how this is looking, so I'm going to leave the underneath for now. I don't want to dry this too much. I want to allow this to air dry as much as possible. So I'm going to work with one of our products from Affix. Affix is our flagship styling line. All of the products have a hold factor ranging from 1 up to 101. All of the products are enriched with UV protection, so it's going to protect beautiful, delicate colour work. But there's also a really neat ingredient in here called Soya Active. And Soya Active, it comes from a soybean, and it slowly releases the active ingredients into the hair. So it's like a moisturizer for the hair. So even on hair that has been very heavily treated or is damaged, it performs exceptionally well. Alright, so let's now work through this crown area. Just going to mist some product through here. Now the thing is, because we've cut away this underneath area, we've created that flatness, so there's now some space for this top area to sit over it. Now I have to be dead careful, because if I cut this too short, you could end up with like this slightly kind of mullety effect on the hair. If you look at the original image, the shape is actually quite transient. And if you look, it's actually shorter, it's ever so slightly shorter around the face, so we're working into a point. So we're going to work with a similar principle. However, what I want to do is just leave it a touch longer. The idea here is to really take the structure and really focus on being super salon friendly, but with the coolness. Remember, the colour itself is pretty strong. So the colour on its own is already a strong statement. So let the color do the talking and let the shape bring out the best in that color. So let's work through this back area. We're just going to work inside of the halo, the circular section. I'm just going to clip away the sides. Now, if you were doing this haircut on quite thick, unruly hair, what I would suggest you do is actually dry each section as you're working. That's going to give you as much control as possible. So for example, you could dry the underneath, work through it, texturize, soften the shape, and then work through the crown area. All right, so let's have a look at this shape. I'm just going to let that drop away. Okay, we're going to work through with more of a transient inversion. So I'm just going to work through. For this, I am going to work with the points of the blades. Look at my elbow. I'm staying as disciplined as possible. Well, I'm trying to multitask here. I'm trying to read comments and cut at the same time. I'm quite impressed. Okay. But we're just working with the points here, just to create something a little bit diluted. This, of course, is going to be longer. No problem. We can cut that away. Let's just have a look. Okay, so this is quite nice, but I think we can go a bit more dramatic. Let's take it down a touch more. So we're going to work. I'm going to go a little bit more rounded now. Arc the fingers. Let's take that down. So any of you that are just joining now, because I can see we've got a few more people. My name is Jon. I'm the Global Education Manager. And today we're going to be doing our look and learn, an online look and learn for one of the hero looks of tech romance, Stellar Pastel. We've already worked with the underneath. Just created a flattened layer through the underneath area, a slightly triangular outline, and now working into the crown. I can see we've got the lovely Radek joining us. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, so I'm now going to just start pivoting and working into the center, over-directing ever so slightly, because what I don't want to do here is create like a big step. I would much rather that there was more length that I can play with and texturize later than, than just going in and cutting off that length. Okay. Just assess the shape. I'm always assessing the shape as I'm working. As we say, once you've cut it off, you can't stick it back on. So it's very, very important to make sure that, we're always checking as we're working. Okay, bringing that into the last section. And something that's really important to know is I'm pulling to the previous section. On the other side, I'm going to be pushing to try and create as much control as possible when I'm working through. Let's just drop that down. All right, so I don't know if you can see it, but we've got a really beautiful, really nice bevel through this top area. So it's actually a very nice technique as well. If I want to create some volume in that crown area, if I took the shape, if I was even more aggressive with this, particularly the undercut, you would always get this slightly graduated effect. I mean, now we're working with a layering technique, and we're going a little longer, but you could really create a fantastic structure. So the nice thing about this haircut is you are able to go as dramatic as you want or go as salon friendly as you want. So it truly is customizable to what is unique about your client and her needs. Now, if I just drop this down, I'm not so sure if you can see this. Oh yeah, you can. Look, can you see the difference? Look at this. So here we've got the roundness through the top here where we've worked with the layers. And then here, this is just totally disconnected. This is just more or less one length. So can you see how beautiful that shape is just tucking in to the head shape? It's beautiful. Okay, let's work on the other side now. Same principle, exactly the same principle, except now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push. So this side I was pulling, this side I'm going to push. If I pull, what could end up happening is I end up creating a shape that is actually longer on the one side, which is cool if that is the effect I'm looking for, but on this occasion it isn't. Just drop some of that hair away just to give me a little bit more control. And again, working with the points of the blades, allowing my arm to control the angle that I'm working, so I've got the discipline in there, and just bringing that straight up. So please guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to jump in. Like I said, Zoe is already on it with the comments, so please don't hesitate to jump in and ask us any questions. For the color technique, I think you'll agree is beautiful, right? I think it's really fitting with the theme of tech romance. It's with the beautiful highlights, and if you check out our Connect by Elgon YouTube channel, you'll see a video on there where Zoe's just talking through the products and actually how she executed the color technique for this. It's really, really great. Okay, so I'm really loving how that shape's sitting in. I think this is quite beautiful. So now all I'm going to do is, there's a little bit of overhang through here, so let's just go through this. Because of the nature of the section, it's more through the central area. So I'm just going to go in. Let's just go through. I want to cut that square. So let me just pull it over a bit more so you can see. There we go. Let's just go through and let's just square this off. Nice and easy. Again, working with the points so we don't have anything too strong. Let's just drop that down. See what it's doing. Great. So it's not only just removing the length, but it's also help control the weight, which is really important. I mean, alternatively, you could have gone through and scooped the weight out and removed the extra length. The only issue with doing that though is sometimes you can overdo it and really kill your haircut. And I think we have to be really careful with that. So personally, for things like this, it's more just a slight technical adjustment, you know, rather than a really heavy-handed approach. Of course, you see here, this is the undercut. Don't panic about it. Just a bit of advice for you. Once you've cut your undercut and you're happy with it, leave the shape alone. Don't ever try and connect the underneath to the top, particularly a shape like this. If you do that, you could end up creating a completely different shape altogether. All right, so let's just go through, just nibble off that corner. Just drop that down. It's great, my camera is also serving as my mirror. It's really a treat. All right. I mean, this is really beautiful. What do you guys think? Are we liking this shape? What do you think? There's quite a nice balance, right, between the colour and the cut. And also, I'm just thinking as well, if we think about the styling, look at the styling story. This is created by Marco Girotti. He's a fantastic, super talented stylist that we've collaborated with on this collection. Really beautiful styling work, and you know, I think that the forms and the shapes are just really fantastic. He's really an editorial hairdresser, which I'm not. So I will, as best as possible, get it as close as possible. For sure, we'll do some styling now on it once I've cut it. And then I think what we'll do is later on today, we'll do a real polish of the finishing, so we can share that with you. So do check out the Elgon official page for an update. All right, so now let's move on to the last section. So you can see we have a lot of hair here to play with. Now what we have to consider is we have the perimeter length through here, an interior length through here, the undercut, and we've also got a guide on the top. My objective here is to now connect the front with this crown area. Super easy. Now what you do need to bear in mind though, is that through the back area, what we have done to create maximum control is we've over-directed the hair into the center. So creating like an arc of sorts. We want to follow the same process on the front. So we're going to do exactly the same, but maybe just adjust it a little bit depending on how it's all sitting in. So let's start off with the guide. So again, just for some control, I'm going to just work through. I'm going to add the Sublinia, the DD cream. It's a great product for just dampening down the hair in these kind of situations. When the hair is porous and it's just super desperate for a drink, it is really your best friend. And I'm just going to clip away, like before, to give me control and discipline. Just going to clip away these sections so I don't lose where I'm going with this haircut. I'm going to spin this around. Hello Cara, thank you so much for joining, and thank you Craig. It's fantastic to have you guys here. Cara is very interesting. She was a little baby hairdresser, and I've watched her grown up. And she's really, really fantastic. I'm super proud of the guys there. I mean, they're really amazing. All right, so let's just click that away. Okay, so we're going to start through the center. We're going to use the crown, so the previously cut section as a guide. Let's ignore this front area. Now it's up to you how you do this. If you want to keep more length on the corners, go square. If you want to be more dramatic and take it shorter, you can go round. For now, I'm going to keep it square. This is much truer to what we did. And again, I'm just working with the points of the blades. This is just going to help me create a really transient shape from back into front. Let's just go back through it again, just double check. Control my pinky. I always love I have my English tea. Okay, same again. Straight up and remove that corner. And my instincts are telling me this is probably going to be a touch too long at the moment, but this is okay, we can work on this. It's actually got quite, I think it's quite a cool length. I might work on it a little more later, so I'm going to just continue with these layers and then we'll assess where we need to go with the rest. Ooh, okay, so same principle, so exactly same principle as before. Horizontal, square, keeping everything square. Straight up, fingers square, controlling the arms and the elbow. And over directing, keeping some of the weight around the sides. Remember, when you cut something square on an object that is round, you're going to create some volume and some width. Okay, let's just work on this last section. Same principle. Straight up. Points of the blades for control. And just working through here. And I'm just wondering, for some of you guys that might be curious about the colour, if you haven't done it already, it'd be amazing for you to add in your remarks about the eyeline, what the formula was, what you did with it. Oh yeah, this is looking pretty cool. Just drop that down. I think we've got something interesting going on here. Not quite as short as a collection image, but I think we've got something. I'm going to work a little more here and maybe take that up a touch more, but I'm quite liking how the shape's evolving. Got some nice roundness through here. Beautiful. And actually, I don't know if you can see this already, but look at the effect we've got here. Round into square. So if you look at the picture, if you look at the principle of the picture, you've got round into square. So you've got that beautiful length on the bottom here, and it doesn't sit in like a traditional bob. So for sure, we're definitely in on this. This is definitely going in the right direction, which is always good when you're doing a Facebook Live. All right, so let's move on to the other side. Same principle. Actually, this side I'm going to push rather than pull, because I've flipped the direction of the mannequin. Straight up, so just ignore this. All right. So are you guys excited to see the final result? I think this is quite interesting for you guys. I think so. You know, I think always with these types of shapes, you can really have a lot of fun with them, and also with the colors. And you know, sometimes you might have some people that are a little afraid. You know, they're a little afraid to maybe work with, you know, maybe something pastel or more of a fashion color. But like I said, you know, I think we've all had 2 or 3 months of, you know, something that's been quite negative, you know, and everyone is looking for some form of escapism. The mind of the clients is really different. I think clients are more pliable now, they're more moldable. You know, and everyone is seeking some form of, you know, change. And this is why I think Tech Romance really came at a perfect time. It really did, you know, come at a perfect time with everything that's happening. As unfortunate as it is, you know, we're playing on that evolution of pastel colours that have really ruled the industry for such a long time, and we've just modernized it. You know, we've taken it into a slightly different direction. I'm loving this. I think this is beautiful, huh? This is sitting in really nicely. My feeling at the moment is it's just a little bit too much in this central area. So I'm just going to go through around that away, assess the shape, and then we're going to go through and start styling it. So let's just have a look. I'm liking how it's sitting on this side. This is nice. Yeah, it's just too much here. And there's a number of ways that you can cut this. You could work with, you know, twist cutting. You could even razor it if you wanted to. I'm going to go a little bit more, a bit stronger with it. So I'm going to work back through the center. I'm going to take a central profile section. I'm going to elevate this straight up and out. And you see this, this corner here. It's that corner which is what's too much, right? So what I'm going to do is just elevate that up ever so slightly. And I'm just going to dilute that shape down. Just dust off that corner. That should help open up and free up the movement inside the shape. So let's go on. Let's do it. Now, to control the outer edges of the haircut, what we will do is we are going to over-direct everything into this point. So effectively like a fan shape. Okay, let's do the same again through here. And no pressure. I can see my boss has joined, so I need to make sure I do a good job, otherwise I get told off. Alright, so just refining that through here, not going crazy. Sometimes, you know, we can be so precious, you know, when we're working with shapes. Also clients as well, you know, sometimes, you know, we're looking at the lamp, oh, you know, don't cut that off, you know, just this. But, you know, sometimes the rule I've always had is if it doesn't have a purpose, and I'm sure Kay will agree with this, I've said this for years, if it doesn't have a purpose, get rid. So if it doesn't add any value to the shape, why leave it there? You know, and here we're just talking about refining, you know, we're just enhancing the structure that we've already got. All right, so let's just go back through, just finish this corner off here before we start drying. Same principle, bang, just take off that corner. Bring everything into the center to have absolute control. All right, let's have a quick look at the shape, see how it's doing. Yeah, see the difference now? Dead simple. We've just removed that little piece of weight from the center and it's just opened up the shape a bit more. You know, it's given us a little bit of something to play with. All right, so now it's time to start drying the haircut. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit more Prep It to the hair. Number 37, fantastic product. This is always my go-to when I'm cutting or I'm blow drying, particularly cutting. It really helps me a lot with sectioning. So as a cutting aid, it's a fantastic product. It really is. And of course, it's not only that it has hold and shine, but it's also got the cosmetic properties to it as well. All right, so let's start drying this shape off. I don't want to go too crazy with it. So I'm just going to work without the nozzle. Perfect, so I'm trying to destroy the space. I'm just working with a Denman, just to add a little bit of smoothness to the hair without going overboard. And I'm working without the nozzle, really just because I don't want to flatten the shape too much. I still want to work with something that's got that organic texture in it. And also when I'm drying, I'm really looking and assessing the shape as I'm working through it. So if I just turn it, so you can see I'm always checking the shape as I'm working. How beautiful is this colour, huh? Amazing. I love Eyelight. It really is a fantastic product. You've got zero limits to your creativity. It's dead easy to use. It also gives you an armor. It adds your armory of services for the salon. So things like you can use it to blend grey hair. You can use it as like an express toner after your bleaching services, which is fantastic. You can also use it on natural hair to really enhance what you've got. It's a professional tool, but don't panic if you use it. There are also other products such as Eye Care, which is a direct colouring and conditioning cream, which is perfect for clients to take home to maintain their hair. It really is fantastic. It really is an amazing, amazing product. I'm so happy we have it. Of course, with the mannequin, I want to avoid doing too much in terms of heat styling because, as we all know, it's a mannequin, so they're not a big fan of heat. I love this color. I think it's really, really beautiful, very iridescent. And I think when we were creating Tech Romance, this was something that was really important for us, was this idea of, playing with, contradictory colors, playing with warm against cool, playing with colors that maybe you wouldn't normally put together. And I think it's really worked beautifully. Because actually with the highlight, it doesn't necessarily, it's pure tonality. So it's not necessarily that it's going to make the hair darker. Of course, optically, it can look darker because, if you're working with an ash or something, it could end up optically to the eye looking darker. But it's pure tonality. So what's really nice is when we worked on Tech Romance, we were really playing with colours that were super, super opaque. On a lighter colour level, so you were really playing with focusing just on tones rather than depth. Really beautiful. And over the coming weeks, we'll also be sharing with you guys some of the other techniques that we have done for the Tech Romance element of generating uniqueness. And then, like I said, keep tuned in because soon we will be launching the Evolution. Right for the summer. And I think we all agree at the headquarters, we're very proud and very, very beautiful. And the shine is incredible, right? It's absolutely amazing. And the shine is really thanks to, of course, we've taken a lot of care, we've given this mannequin a lot of love, but it's also thanks to the technology inside of the Eyelight. It's really an amazing product for shine. Really, really beautiful. And how are we liking the shape? Do you like how we're starting to evolve with this? What do you think? Do I live to fight another day? Oh, great. I can see from all the love hearts, I think we're definitely in the right direction. And thank you guys so much for joining in. It's really great to be able to connect with everyone. I mean, we've got people inside of this session who maybe don't know our product portfolio or our brand. You know, we've got people that are educators and colleagues, and it's really great. And this is the whole principle behind the Connect initiative. It's really bringing people together. And, you know, where a lot of us have been in some form of isolation for the last, you know, 2 or 3 months, you know, I think now we realize the true importance of connecting, you know? So now I'm just working the nozzle just to flatten the shape in a bit more. I want to dry this without really too much of parting. I'm quite liking how the length is looking, so I don't want to work too much on here. Now what I want to do, I want to create more of a bevel through the top and more through the fringe, just to bring out this shape a little more. But this, I quite like. I just want to smooth this in a little more. We're just going to work in with our fantastic brush, with our wire part. It's going to be very easy. Start from the side. Start with the underneath. Give it the tension. I really do want to flatten this down through here. Lots of tension. Okay, great. You see what we're doing? Because what we don't want, what we really don't want with this is the shape to look too much like a traditional bob. You know, it still needs to have something that's a little bit kind of futuristic. And can you see now, I mean, the colour was already coming alive, but it's now even, you know, it's really coming through the styling. Same principle, from above, down, get that tension in there, get that nice and smooth. And of course, if you wanted to, you could work in with the irons to really polish off this shape a little more. You have to be careful though, because, I mean, if we do that, we do run the risk here of, you know, we can end up killing the shape. It could be too much, you know, it could be too flat or too styled. Okay, great. What do you think? This is looking quite cool. And I think that's a really great comment. Thank you, Savita. Because yeah, you're. I mean, what we have to remember is that, you know, what we do, it's always, you know, it's a collection, so it's really inspiring. And of course, every market is different. So it's all about adapting and taking from it what you will, you know? And that's a wonderful thing about education. It's also the wonderful thing about the creative process, is that, you know, there is no wrong and there is no right. You know, it's as they say, create, don't hate. You know, it's all about sharing the love. And you know, I'm so proud of what we do as an industry. It's been an incredibly generous industry to all of us. Every day when we go into the salon, we do clients and we make that person feel $1 million, or should I say €1 million in Italy. But really, when I make that person feel $1 million, That's why I spent those years learning my craft. That's why, I've dedicated, the majority of my career to the world of education. Education is such an interesting world because, I think the minds of people has changed so much. Everything is much more available. We now live in a day of, the influencer, online education. The market has changed so much. And, everyone is so much more accessible now. Everyone. So I think it's very interesting that the whole idea of, the teacher and student, or the master and the apprentice, is kind of, dare I say it, it's a little old-fashioned. The market has changed so much. And, certainly talking about education in the global market, my focus is much more as a collaboration. We work as one, with one voice, and, we're all there to inspire each other. It's not that one person knows best. It's about us working as a collective with one objective. We produce really beautiful products, and we want the world to know about that. And education is such a powerful tool. If you can inspire people, that's fantastic. All right, so just refining this through. Like I said, I'm going to work a little more on the finishing later on. This is more just, for now, more of a superficial finish. But later on, you'll see us, we will post the really polished version. I'm quite liking where we're going with this. What do you think? Oh, make sure you can all see. There we go. I'm not working with a paling, I'm just going to leave the front, let the front do its thing. What I really love about this colour is that it always changes, it always evolves with the lighting. So it doesn't matter how you change the light, it will always look ever so slightly different. And I think it's really, really beautiful. It truly is an iridescent colour. So I'm just twisting the top to create a little more movement. All right. Absolutely. Thank you, Safisa. That's a really great point. The art of blow drying is so important. And it really is. I mean, like I already explained to you guys, I'm not really, I'm not necessarily an editorial hairdresser. It's never been the area that I've really focused my career. But it's definitely an art that I totally appreciate, and I do agree. I think great finishing really shows off a great colour and a great cut. But don't forget though that a good blow dry is never going to compensate for a sloppy or lazy haircut. So it's so important that both go hand in hand. Alright, so I'm just going to very quickly just polish just the surface with the irons. I'm going to keep the sections very big because we don't want this to be particularly flat or too straight. Just want to bring out the shape a little bit more. But what do you guys think? Do we like it? What do you think? It's quite nice. The colour's sitting in beautifully, huh? Fantastic. Okay, so let's just go through and just keep the sections really big. I'm not going crazy with this. Just make sure we also need to be dead careful not to, keep the iron on the hair for too long, because, the other thing is we're working on, quite a porous mannequin. So, we have to be so careful, not to remove the colour from this. Of course, the way that we can prevent that in a real life situation is just ensuring that, the hair is well treated. You can use products like the DD cream to even out the porosity of the hair. Of course, if the canvas is in its best possible state, then of course the result is going to be even better. Better durability, better durability of the colour, a better shine is really, really, really important. And I think this is something that we all forget. Sometimes it's very easy for us to forget when we're working, as we get so excited on what the result is going to be that we don't always think about what the process is going to be, the durability of the colour, what is a client's home care regime, how much are they willing to invest in maintaining that look. All these questions are absolutely paramount to the success. As Sassoon himself once said, if you don't look good, we don't look good. And it's really true. When that client is on the street with your beautiful colour work or your haircut, that individual is really a walking advert for you. They're really promoting you as a brand. So it's really, really important that, it's not only about the immediate result in the salon, it's also about how, the client looks after the hair once they're done. And, from my own experience, Kay's with us. I worked with her in Scotland for a few years. And, these guys are machines with this. They're fantastic at this because they really understand the importance of a good home care regime. It's so, so important. All right, so I'm just going to now finish up this section through the top before I dress it. I'm just working with a little bit of a bevel on the hair. It's not ideal, but again, because we are working on a mannequin, mannequins aren't always the best for these kind of things. We're having to just work a little more of a shape into this. Not to compensate for the haircut, by the way. It's just really, just to enhance what we've already got here. Let's have a look. I love this. You see that shape in here? See how that's sitting in? Beautiful. Okay, so we're just going to work through here. Very lightly, just on the surface, keeping it really simple, nice and easy. There we go. And we're almost actually, with the styling, we're almost working with the sections that we already put in here, with the cut, sorry. All right, last one. And then what I'm going to do is just let this cool for a sec while I find my other products. Let's just turn her around. All right, great. Cool, so we've got something going on here. All right, so what we're going to do now is just work with our finishing. I'm going to use a new product that we introduced last year called Pump It. It's a texturizing spray, so it's going to help alleviate some of the softness from the hair. It's quite a dry product, but it creates this fantastic grittiness to the hair. It's absolutely amazing. And the nice thing about it is it's dead easy to remove, and you'll find that with your fixed products. You have the performance, but it doesn't leave the hair feeling gloopy. In fact, what you'll find is with the products, because of the Sawyer Active complex inside of them, what you'll find is actually the hair feels fantastic once you've rinsed it away. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a quick blast just to get the texture. Okay, and then we're going to use a real superstar product. Fantastic. We also launched this last year. It is called Shine It number 0. It has no hold factor to it. It's purely for gloss. It is an amazing product. Doesn't leave the hair greasy. And I mean, it's like gives it like a slightly kind of mirrored effect, you know. It's beautiful. Hi Max, thank you for joining. I'm so happy. Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for coming and joining in on the session today. I really appreciate it, and thank you all for being so accommodating as well. It's really great. It's always very nervous when you do these kind of things for the first time. Okay, just another product we've used, literally just to take some of the fluffiness off the ends, is Tame It, number 4. You can use this on damp or dry hair. Of course, it's enriched with the same technology as the rest of the line, as the rest of the portfolio. But it's really beautiful. A, for curly hair, you can just put it in damp, let it dry in, but fantastic as well, just as a finisher. Okay. And I'm now just going to very quickly finish it off with the fixed hold, just to accentuate the shape. I can't quite see the bottom, so I'm just working totally visually here. And we're working, like I said, later on with the final image, we'll do something a little bit closer to the original picture. I think to do it right now is a little brave. Certainly not as an editorial stylist. This has definitely got a bit more of a 70s vibe to it, which I totally love. It's perfect for the summer. Let's see if I can remove the... Let's have a quick look. I'm going to see from your view. Yeah, I think this is quite cool. Later what we'll do is we'll put the bow in through here. We're going to do something really neat with the irons. But yeah, I think this is great. So just a quick sum up of what we've done today. We have done a reinterpretation of the Stellar Pastel haircut. For the video, check inside the comments, but also the Connect by Elgon YouTube channel. Do also follow our Facebook official page and also our Instagram, because we will also be uploading content and updates. Certainly keep an eye out for what's going to be coming up in the next month. I'm so excited to share it with you. And yeah, just a quick sum up. With the haircut, what we've done is we've worked with like a keyhole shape. So a circular section through the crown, stemming into an arc in the front. Through the underneath area, we've worked with like a triangular bob shape. Starting off with an undercut, working in with an inversion from short into long. Then cutting in a slightly triangular outline to the shape. Over directing front back using a slide cutting technique. Then moving on into the crown, we've worked with something again that's slightly inverted, and then followed that through to the front. And that is the haircut. If anyone's missed this, or you haven't seen the whole video, don't panic. This is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So yeah, stay tuned, and God bless. Thank you very much, and stay safe and stay connected. Bye.